Hello and welcome to episode 21 of Review to a Kill. My name's James and I'm a big James Bond fan.
My name's Tom and I'm watching all these James Bond movies for the first time.
And each episode we'll be analysing a different film from the series and passing on our view as someone who's seen them a million times before and a first-time watcher. We'll be comparing and contrasting our opinion of the movie. Now, before every episode, we always make a point of saying there will be
spoilers.
So if you haven't seen the movie that we're going to talk about tonight, please stop the program here, the pod showcast channel
YouTube show
here,
episode 21,
and then go and watch the movie before you come back, because we will spoil it for you. We will be talking about major plot points and so on as well. Now, before we get to this evening's featured movie, we'd like to begin by taking a step back to our previous episode, which was, of course, Die Another Day. And we'd like to hear your comments on this humble little segment of our show, Feedback Corner. Lovely. Very nice, yes. We always want to hear from you. You can contact us on that there Twitter on @ReviewKillShow.
No, up there.
More
here. Like that. No, it's like in the middle.
Yeah, no, okay,
there,
there. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Or Blue Sky @ReviewToAKill. Or you can just leave a little comment underneath. That's easier. You don't have to go on social media then.
Or if you do, you can go on Instagram on Luxury Tedium.
Tom's the Insta babe.
Yeah.
As you can tell.
Lots of behind the scenes stuff going on.
No, there's also.
We started a sports section.
Yeah, they're going very well. Really, very well. So here is our feedback that we received from you, or some of it at least, regarding our Die Another Day episode. We will start with Enlightenment789, who says, I was most impressed, capital letters, with Tom's guitar performance. I think we were all impressed. It was high quality. Can this be a continued idea going forward, please? Well, we have plans. Yeah. We have plans.
Can't promise it's going to be as good as last time.
No,
but
it'll work. It'll work.
Back.
It reminded me of Bill Conti's score from For Your Eyes Only.
That's bloody good.
That is a high quality, high praise. I would ride a motorcycle through a bobsled track to listen to Tom's cover of the Die Another Day theme.
Listen to this.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. That's a lovely piece of feedback. Triforce of Kaz, hello to you. Nice to hear from you again. This was the first Bond movie I ever saw in the cinema. Die Another Day. God, that would put you off, wouldn't it? But I think you guys summed it up pretty well. Thank you. I remember being thoroughly unimpressed by it. I don't think you were alone. I remember also seeing Star Wars Attack of the Clones that same year. Wasn't a great year for cinema, was it that? Another movie I really disliked. So those two movies alone spoiled that year for me.
Yeah.
Although, the final note is, on a different note, that was an excellent take on the theme song by Tom. Again, let's not bother doing movie reviews. Let's just have Tom play the guitar for an hour. Forget him playing Blofeld. Make him the new series composer, Amazon.
Yeah, I should give him a call.
Yeah.
Have you heard this feedback, Jeff Bezos?
Call Jeff.
Yeah.
Oxford James, good on you, Tom, for sticking to your guns, all-time high. I'm not having it. It's still a terrible song. Personally, I'd rate it higher. Think it's the best thing about the film. But then I love the man with the golden gun as well. Do you know what? That's fine. Everyone's entitled to their view, and this is a safe place. All right, this is a safe environment. And I've said some things that nobody else agrees with.
But man with the golden gun. Come on.
No, it's all
only
right.
Kidding.
It's all right. Bang on re-CGI, hammered it when it came out for the reasons specified. That said, and I'm not going to spoil things for you, but that said, give me this over recent offerings any day. Now, Oxford James, I am heartily in agreement with you. And when we come to the No Time to Die episode, that could be a 3-hour special because I have much I want to say.
See, I didn't know if you meant like recent, how far back he was going. I was thinking, I think he
means
looking forward to the Craig ones. You know,
some of them are very good. Some of them are excellent. And and they're not all excellent. Right. So thank you for that, Oxford James. Benign Crinoid.
Right.
A new correspondent.
Maybe
hello.
from a different planet. Who knows?
Could be. Who knows? Live long and prosper.
Yeah.
Hello to you, sir or madam. It's more enjoyable than No Time to Die. I had my ears syringed yesterday. That was more enjoyable than No Time to Die. Right? So Yes,
Wow.
I heartily agree with you. We don't want to put Tom off, but
No, you wouldn't want to do that.
don't want to do that, would we? And finally, our last piece of correspondence on this feedback corner comes from the official nice person. That sounded more like a fire alarm, but never mind. Who says, unpopular opinion. Ooh, get ready, people. I really enjoyed this movie, albeit for the wrong reasons. I laughed a lot out loud.
Yeah.
It may belong to the it's so ridiculous, it's lots of fun category.
Oh, yeah.
I love Toby Stephens in it. I think we both said Toby Stephens was very good, didn't we? I think we'd agree with that. Played his role perfectly.
Sneering git.
Yeah, very sort of. He was though, wasn't he? He looked like he was having a lot of fun with it. For a Bond song I don't like, Tom's version is my favourite so far. Can we stop this? I'm feeling a bit left out here.
Yeah.
I would buy it in the shops. So there you go.
Wow.
Great to see some beautiful visible cars as well. We did talk about the cars being beautiful in Die Another Day. I knew it'd be a low score, but again, it properly entertains me. What a way, says the official nice person, to end an era. It is. And we shall talk about the end of that era presently. But for now, that was Feedback Corner.
Yeah. I went avant-garde.
That was very nice.
Avant-garde.
Avant-garde.
Cider twang.
Well, talking about a cider twang and things that we...
Got the allotment with his head in his hands. Right, here he goes. What?
The allotment is not in a good way at the moment.
Oh, no.
Right, we've got to start with saying what this movie is.
Of course we do.
We are going to talk
ahead
about...
of myself.
Well, that's because you're so excited. You get a bit premature when you're excited. Yeah. This episode, we are going to be talking about the 21st movie in the Bond canon.
Yeah.
And that, of course, is Casino Royale. This is normally where we'd sing, but they don't sing. Da 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 da. Nice.
Gonna get all these comments. Oh, James's vocal guitar
James's
version.
ow na 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 was really good. Well, there we are. Shall we look at your French chart just to introduce a little baguette poulet into the proceedings?
I've looked at this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it worth doing or
no?
No,
but you may as well.
Well, I've committed to it now, so we're going for it.
Just tell me.
In French, Casino Royale is. Well, it's Casino Royal without the E on the end, which is odd because don't the French normally add an E to things?
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but there we are. Well, there we are.
You want to go in a French accent just for a laugh?
No, because you'll just take the mickey out of my West Country and say I'm a member of the Wurzels again. So, no. Anyway, there we are.
That's what we normally do, but...
Hello to everyone in France where Royal means Royal, not Royale.
Royale.
Casino Royale.
I don't know, I went a bit Scottish.
Casino Royale. C'est bon.
All right.
There we are.
Yes.
That's how you do it. Trust me, I'm fluent.
Oh,
anyway, before we discuss Casino Royale with the fine intellectual rigour that it deserves, we must, of course, summarise the plot. And there is really only one man who can do this enormous task justice. I must now hand over to... He's not just a musician, he's also a scriptwriter and a plot summariser as well.
Yeah.
Mr. Tom Scriven will now entertain the nation and indeed the world with his plot summary of Casino Royale.
Let's go. Prague!
Sorry, where?
Prague! Czech Republic! Bond is seen killing a corrupt MI6 bloke and his contact in black and white, thus gaining his 00 status. Mbali! Uganda! Baddie, Mr. White, introduces Lord's Resistance Army Commander Obama to Le Sheik,
Say chic, le freak.
He's right. He's this terrorist private banker kind of bloke, right? So Obama gives the chief 100 mil to invest in this aerospace manufacturer Skyfleet because they're up to something, right? What is it going to be? Madagascar! Bond chases this bomb maker for ages in an impressive looking way, and they fight and chase on this construction site, and both show a frankly worrying disregard of health and safety regulations. Bond catches him at this embassy place, shoots him and blows the place up. And Bond tracks down where this text message, ellipsis, was sent from to the bomb maker's phone, right?
Ellipsis.
Yeah. And that was Nassau, Bahamas. Using the surveillance CD-ROMs from this swanky
From 2006.
club. Yeah. Bond identifies the text sender, Demetrios, right? Bond wins Demetrius's Aston Martin in a game of poker, and then he gets it on with his wife, Solange.
Solange.
So while Bond and Solange are getting it on, she gets a call from Demetrios saying he's not coming home. So Bond has to get out of there to find Demetrios in Miami! And they have a secret knife fight in a museum. And Bond kills him, gets his phone, finds a new bomber, chases him around the airport, prevents him from blowing up this Skyfleet prototype plane, knackering up the baddies plan, which has Le Chiffre in the shit, as he's lost all of the money. So, Le Chiffre sets up this massively high-stakes poker game, and M arranges to put Bond in the game in Montenegro! Bond is teamed up with British Treasury agent Vesper Lynd to oversee the handling of the 10 mil buy-in, and they meet René Mathis, who's French Secret Service. After playing some poker, Bond recognises Le Chiffre's tell. He tells Vesper and Mathis about it, and during a break, Albano threatens Le Chiffre and his girlfriend, and then his henchmen see that Bond is an agent, so they have this massive fight, ending with Bond killing them, right? And then back at the poker table, Le Chiffre does his tell. So Bond goes all in, but it was a bluff, so Bond loses all the money. So Bond needs another 5 mil to get back in the game, but Vesper won't allow it. But there's this other bloke playing, who introduces himself as Felix Leiter, who offers Bond the 5 mil on the condition that the CIA bring in Le Chiffre. So Bond's back in the game, but he gets poisoned and has to resuscitate himself, but the gadget thing is disconnected and he nearly dies, and Vesper has to save him. So Bond comes back to the table, and then he wins the game, and Le Chiffre captures Bond and Vesper, bashes Bond's bollocks in to make him give the password to the money, but Bond doesn't give in. And Mr. White comes in, kills Le Chiffre. Bond wakes up in hospital and has Mathis arrested because he thinks that he's the one that tipped off Le Chiffre. Bond and Vesper fall in love and go to Venice! Bond sends his resignation to MI6, but M calls Bond asking where the money is. So he realises Vesper's betrayed him. So he tracks her down and finds her exchanging the money with this bloke with knackered sunglasses. And Bond gets seen, so they have this massive shootout in this floating building that starts sinking because Bond shoots the floaters. And then Vesper's trapped in a lift cage, right? And Bond kills a load of baddies, tries to rescue Vesper, but she dies. And then Mr. White escapes with the money. M tells Bond that Vesper had a boyfriend and Le Chiffre's organisation had threatened to have him killed unless she became a double agent. So M reckons Vesper made a deal with Mr. White to spare Bond's life. Bond uses Vesper's phone that she left to track down Mr. White, and he finds him and he shoots him in the leg. To be continued, it seems.
Da 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 da. Okay, this is the 21st movie in the Eon James Bond franchise, made in 2006. Following Die Another Day, made in 2002, Eon decided to provide a realistic and darker exploration of Bond. I mean, let's be fair, it couldn't be much less realistic than part of what Die Another Day was. But anyway, that meant they chose to do Casino Royale. Now, this wasn't in the initial Eon deal to purchase the rights for the novels. They bought most of the other novels, but not Casino Royale. There had been the unofficial Casino Royale in 1967, but that was nothing to do with it. So Eon had never made Casino Royale, so they subsequently purchased the rights and decided to make Casino Royale. Now, Pierce Brosnan was keen to do it, and he felt that he was still only 51, and he felt he had one more movie in him. And to be fair, I would probably agree with that assessment. I don't think he looked too old in Die Another Day at all. And I think of all the problems with Die Another Day, I don't think Pierce was it. At all. However, the producers chose to go in a different direction, and they felt if they were going to change the tone of the series that significantly, it actually needed a full reboot and therefore a new Bond.
Yeah.
So regrettably, Pierce was let go as Bond. So they considered some very a number of names were considered, or at least in the frame at some time or another, for the new Bond. Hugh Jackman, Christian Bale, Sam Worthington, Carl Urban, Ewan McGregor apparently was considered at one point. And given that they'd made the decision that Bond was going to be younger and they wanted to go to show the 2 kills that led to Bond gaining his 00 status, which is in Fleming's novels, they actually looked at Henry Cavill, even though he was only 22 at the time.
Vodka martini shaken not today. And you?
But they decided he was much too young. However, for all that, the producers do seem to have settled on Daniel Craig as Pierce Brosnan's replacement quite early. It was around May 2005, and he wasn't actually announced for another 5 months. Barbara Broccoli, in particular, really championed him and really felt that he was the one that she wanted.
Yeah.
She had seen Layer Cake and been very impressed by that. Craig considered it for some time before accepting. He actually bumped into Pierce Brosnan at some big showbiz flang and said, look, they've offered it to me. Should I take it? And Pierce said, absolutely, you must take it. And they strongly encouraged him to take it. I have to say, barring 1 or 2 comments immediately afterwards, Pierce has always been extremely gallant and very gracious about the fact that they fired him, and has always said nice things and so on. In keeping with the status of most other Bonds when cast, Craig was not a huge star. He was a respected actor with a good career and a recognisable face, but not a household name. Now, we've said this before. Connery, Moore, Lazenby, Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan, all recognisable but not really stars. Maybe Roger Moore, a TV star, but not a film star. Maybe he was the most famous.
Yeah.
But the history of Bond has always been not to cast an absolute superstar. That Bond should be the biggest role of this actor's career. And that was certainly the case with Craig. He had his breakthrough with Our Friends in the North. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I remember.
Fabulous
I think I was
series.
a little bit too young, but I kind of remember
Fabulous
it.
series, set in Newcastle.
Eccleston
Christopher Eccleston was in it, Gina McKee. It's brilliant, set up in
yeah.
Newcastle. Absolutely brilliant. He moved into movies. He was in Lara Croft Tomb Raider, The Road to Perdition, Layer Cake, as I mentioned. He was in Spielberg's version of Munich as well, and that story. He was announced as the new Bond in October of 2005. Now, this was initially quite controversial because, of course, he was blonde and not dark. At his unveiling on the River Thames in 2005, he actually had long blonde hair for a part in a different movie he was making. And he hadn't undergone the fitness training that he later would to become Bond. I mean, he looks like a Liberal Democrat MP. When you look at him, he's got this suit on and he just doesn't look like Bond. So you could sort of see why there was some consternation initially. But of course, he became a generational Bond that was in the role for nearly 20 years. Shall we talk about the rest of the cast? So Eva Green, French actress as Vesper Lynd, based in London for most of her career, received a BAFTA Rising Star Award for this role, beat Olivia Wilde to the part of Vesper Lynd. Mads Mikkelsen as Le Chiffre. Now, he is one of those guys, I think, who just raises every movie that he's in. I just think he's completely fantastic. Danish actor. He's gone on to be in the Star Wars, Marvel, Indiana Jones and Harry Potter franchises.
Well,
Not bad, is it? Giancarlo Giannini, Italian actor who had previously been nominated for an Oscar, was René Mathis.
Yeah.
Jesper Christiansen as Mr. White, very respected Danish actor with a long career in European cinema. Despite the full reboot, they retained Judi Dench as M. Now, I know this seems a little bit odd, but I think the thinking was, it's Judi Dench. You can't fire Judi Dench, right? So I think the thinking was, yes, it's a reboot, but You know, we can't let an actress of this ability go. I think she has some brilliant lines in this. Utter one more syllable and I'll have you killed is a brilliant line. She
good.
does seem a bit tougher, I think, this version of M. No Q, no Moneypenny. All of that will be explained in the later movies, so hang fire. I promise all of this will be explained. A few other people to point out. Tobias Menzies as Villiers. M's young assistant at MI6 headquarters. His last name is a reference to James Villiers, who portrayed Bill Tanner in For Your Eyes Only. And actually, it goes back to the character of Amherst Villiers in the original novel. So that's where that came from. I think that was why they had him as Villiers rather than Tanner, as he would normally be Tanner.
Yeah.
But anyway, Tanner will return. And also we have Jeffrey Wright as Felix.
Wow.
And I only have 3 words to say on Jeffrey Wright. Coolest Felix ever. Right? Come on.
I mean, when it says Felix Leiter, expecting Bond to go, are you sure?
Honestly,
Because you're actually like pretty good.
He's actually quite helpful and quite good at this.
And really good actor, so I'm not sure.
He is an absolutely brilliant
finally
actor,
bloody
isn't he?
done it right, haven't they?
He is an absolutely brilliant actor. And again, another actor who lifts everything.
I'm bleeding chips.
But he is a brilliant
great.
actor who I think just lifts everything he's in.
I just watched him last night in The Batman. You know, the
Oh
latest
yeah,
Batman.
the latest Batman. Yeah, really, really, really good actor. Anyway, a few little extras and people to point out. Some of the players at the various poker games.
Yeah.
So, did you notice Madame Wu at the main
I did.
poker game? That was a lady called Tsai Chin, a Chinese actress. She was Ling in You Only Live Twice. That was the Chinese agent who double-crosses Bond in the pre-title sequence. There is also, in a similar little twist, in the game at the card table in the Ocean Club where Bond wins the car, there's a lady with sort of ginger auburn coloured hair. That is Diane Hartford, who was the girl that Connery dances with in Thunderball when he's trying to escape from Fiona Volpe. So there we are. And you don't hear me say this very often. Did you spot Richard Branson?
Yeah. I mean, did anyone not spot Richard Branson? They might as well have put Elvis there.
Ding, 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 ding. Big arrows. Here's Richard Branson's cameo. Anyway, there we are. Yes, Richard Branson makes a cameo at the airport, just in case anyone didn't spot it.
Yeah.
It was at Miami Airport. This movie was produced by Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson. The script, again, was by Neil Purvis and Robert Wade. Very heavily based on the novel. More heavily based on the novel than anything we've seen... I don't know, maybe since Thunderball? A long time. Certainly very, very
that
long
novel
time.
there.
That novel there.
Look at that. Thanks, Stevie, for bringing us this.
Yes, so the script was by Neil Purvis and Robert Wade, based on the novel, and they also asked Paul Haggis to contribute to it. He had just worked on $1 Million Baby and Crash. He added that's Crash, the David Cronenberg Crash, right?
Yeah.
Not because there were 2 movies called Crash at roughly the same time. He added the Venice ending. That wasn't in the original novel. Much of what came before it was in the original novel, but we'll talk about the story in the novel a little bit later on. 1953, the novel was first published. It was the very first James Bond book. Definitely considered one of the better novels, this. So well in Britain in particular. Didn't do a lot initially in the United States, but when Bond started to become popular, subsequently it sort of took off. Casino Royale as a novel took off after that. This movie was filmed between January and June 2006. The only major problem was in production. Do you remember during A View to a Kill?
Ooh, yeah.
Where the 007 stage caught fire just before they started filming it? Guess what?
Oh, God.
Luckily, the 007 stage caught fire in July of 2006 and Casino Royale had just about wrapped. So it was just after they'd finished filming most of it. It's worth saying this was a big gamble, right, when this came out at the end of 2006. New Bond, who looked very different to all previous Bonds, including the novel version. a new tone for the film, much darker, grittier, a lot less gadgets, a lot less humour and so on. No Q, no Moneypenny, based on a novel that had been written more than half a century before. So this was considered a real risk. The reception and the critical reviews, overwhelmingly positive. The reception for Daniel Craig was exceptional, and it was felt that it had really rebooted the franchise. Rotten Tomatoes today, do you want to guess what the rating is for Casino Royale?
It's still quite difficult, with them. In the 80s, I reckon.
94%.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
So really good.
So really good. Nominated for 9 BAFTAs and won 2. And as for the box office, a budget of 150 million, a box office of $616 million. Per, and may I say, ching.
Yeah.
That's the highest grossing Bond film ever to that point. So there we are. So that's a bit of background to Casino Royale. Yeah. We must now move by overwhelming public demand. We simply must move to the Bond board. And the Bond board will tell us where it should sit. Will it score higher than Die Another Day? Yes. Will it? Anyway.
Will it be our new favourite?
Will it be our new favourite? Maybe. Stay tuned, and we'll find out.
Oh.
Tom, will you please activate the Bond board?
Bond board activate.
Yeah.
Right, the first of our 12 ideal elements of a Bond film is the opening sequence, the pre-title sequence.
Yes.
A quick few little facts on the pre-title sequence. The fight in the bathroom?
Yeah.
That takes place at a cricket match.
Oh.
And originally, that you can find deleted scenes. I'm not making this up. You know how much I love my cricket.
What, did Daniel Craig, he wasn't shooting a movie?
They went to a cricket match in Lahore, in Pakistan. And that's where you first see Craig as Bond. Yeah. And you first see the guy that he's chasing. And he sort of chases him through the pavilion and through the changing rooms into the bathroom where they have their fight. But it was dropped for sort of pacing. And they felt it was a bit too slow, which is unusual for cricket to be slow. but there we are. But it did give it all a very sort of atmospheric Cold War thriller vibe. And you do see that all the way throughout the pre-title sequence, particularly with it being in Prague. Eastern Europe, recognition of the Cold War and all that kind of stuff. The fight, by the way, is incredibly physical, which is very much a theme of Craig's Bond. The fights have definitely gone up a notch.
Bloody good stuff. We've talked about, well, definitely my liking. I think I could speak for you and say our liking of close proximity violence.
Fighting, yeah, absolutely. And it is a
well
bit like
choreographed.
And fighting in the bathroom there with the sort of stalls and what it is a bit like fighting on the train in From Russia with Love, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit like we've had good kitchen fights.
Yeah.
Good toilet fight.
But it sets the scene really well. And this idea that Bond is not a 00 yet because he needs to do 2 kills.
Yes.
That comes directly out of some of the novels. The only thing I would say that the pre-title sequence is missing, as good as it is, it doesn't have a huge stunt, as in the guy jumping off the dam or the guy skiing off the edge of the cliff or something of that sort of nature.
Yeah.
But it's not bad at all, this one.
And to the point, we know what we're doing straight away.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back to the beginning.
Here we are. Yeah. Good gag as well, considerably. Good gag.
Yes, considerably. Yeah. That is great. I like the black and white.
Yeah, I agree.
They probably saved a few quid. And it looks classy, doesn't it? And it's
and they were already in Prague, so you might as well say it there.
Yeah. So yeah, I like this one a lot.
I'm saying 8 out of 10.
And that's what I bloody well said as well.
Look, seen it a million times before, seen it for the first time, identical scores. See? It appeals to everybody. That's the genius of the franchise.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to talk about the theme song?
Let's do it.
Now, this theme song, written by David Arnold and Chris Cornell, performed, of course, by the late, great, much, much missed Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
Quick question on the theme song.
Yes.
There were 3 versions of the theme song made. One was the single version, and I think that's the best version. One was the version on the titles, and one was the version for the video, which subsequently went on Chris Cornell's album.
Wow.
Now, which one are we scoring? Because I think the single version is the best, or doesn't it matter?
I didn't realise they were all different.
Okay, fine. So can I just score which one I think is best?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same song, isn't it? I mean, probably slightly different arrangements. Are they massively different?
No.
Right. Well, why?
I'm going to do something.
Oh, I see what
I'm going to do something I haven't done in 21 episodes.
I understand now.
Yeah.
Well, we could have waited until we'd had a listen to it, but...
Oh, okay. Well, I'll wait then.
Well, it's obvious, isn't it? What are you saying for the...
I'm going to score this a 10.
Oh.
I haven't scored anything a 10. You have.
Wow.
You scored Live and Let Die a 10, didn't you?
Live and Let Die, and nobody...
You're great.
And nobody does it better.
Live and Let Die with 10, you know, great.
Some of this. That's better,
Right.
So.
Oh, nice.
So it sounds. You're not hearing any Bond
No.
notes?
No, not at all.
Well. Right, that's...
Yeah. Oh my God!
So he's just... So it's... So it's instead of staying on the one...
Yeah.
And then the... That's... We're in this area.
We're in the same
you
area,
see?
aren't we? Yeah.
So that's what I found out.
See, those are the things I don't know, not being a musician. So it
So-
doesn't sound Bondy, but it actually is if you sort of strip it down, and it's using very similar chords and...
I guess it's not a coincidence that those
Yeah.
notes have formed like the main vocal melody.
So
it's like, how can we use that with a different chord progression underneath? And yeah.
So it's actually quite interesting that although it's a rock song and it sounds quite different, actually the sort of building blocks are very much the same. I think this is a fabulous, fabulous song.
Right.
It's an enormous tragedy that Chris Cornell is no longer with us. And Big
So
10,
you've
mate,
gone a
go
Big
for it.
10.
A history-making 10 for me.
Okie dokie. Well, I'm a big fan. Not quite as much. I'm giving it an 8.
Just an 8.
Nice
Oh,
and
there we
high
are.
still.
So that is more than all-time high, isn't it? Just to be clear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is good. Okay, fine. I just want to make sure I hadn't completely lost your mind. Yeah. Right, the music and the score. Now, we've touched on this.
Yeah.
David Arnold, again. That repeat motif is used a lot. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Is used a lot in the movie. Lots of very nice orchestral versions of this when they're on the train going down to Montenegro.
Yeah.
Same tune, but very beautifully done on the orchestral version. The one thing that you don't hear in the movie is the James Bond theme.
Yeah.
Until right at the very end, when he shoots Mr. White, he says the famous line,
yeah.
the credits roll, and then you hear it. Until then, because at that point, he becomes James Bond. And that's the whole point of it. And that's really clever from David Arnold to do that. Because it would have been really easy to have, I don't know, Bond throws down the winning hand and wins all the money, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, or whatever. And it doesn't, right? Or when he's bombing along in the car or whatever.
I should
and it
notice
doesn't.
that.
You
And
don't hear the theme at all until the closing credits.
Because all I did really notice about it was I bloody loved it. And that we were hearing, You Know My Name variations.
Callbacks of it all the way through,
But to really good effect. And I think this is definitely his best one so far.
Yeah.
So I'm comparing it with, I didn't really like the Die Another Day score. I think I was quite mean about it, in fact, and only gave it, oh no, that's the song, 5. Yeah. So.
To be fair, you were mean about everything with Die Another Day.
Well, yeah. But no, I think the bit over the top with the beats and the loops and the.
Yeah.
This one, there's a bit of that, but it just feels like, he's in control now. He's experienced. He's really...
He's David Arnold.
And he's got a really strong theme that he's penned, and he's going with that.
Yeah.
And
and it's a really sensible decision, I think, to leave the theme.
Exactly.
Because it kind of underlines
complete
when he shoots Mr. White, appears with the gun, with the suit, the waistcoat and all that. Now he has become James Bond.
Thematic
then
sense.
He gets the theme.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I am going to say 9 for the score. I think it's fabulous.
So am I.
So am I. I'm going to say 9 too.
I'm going to say 9.
No, I really like it. I think it's a great score,
Yeah. Big fan.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Which is what we need in this hot weather.
Yeah.
Hey, can you see what I did there? Hey, that was clever, wasn't it? The next category is... Stunts. Excellent news when it comes to stunts. No CGI. Or at least very little.
Yeah.
The free running scene is real.
Yeah.
The car rolling over 1 million times is real.
Right.
The shooting up the embassy is real. Well, not real bullets, but someone is genuinely in there doing that.
Yeah.
Right? All of these things are real. And it's such a refreshing change from the overload of CGI that we had with Die Another Day. Let's start with the free running scene, or the parkour scene. Parkour! That was a big thing at the time, right? This thing called parkour had been invented. It was sort of very popular, taken over the world. Very smart of the producers to get onto that right at the beginning and go, this is something that's quite fashionable at the moment. Not it was fashionable 3 or 4 years ago, and now we're sort of riding the last remnants of that wave. So that, I think, is a really good scene. Great fight on the crane.
Yeah.
And somebody or 2 people are actually up there. Again, I repeat, it is not CGI. They are up there. Love the way that Bond is quite fallible in that as well. Because, yes, he's big and tough and keeping up with the guy and all the rest of it. But it's not like he doesn't make mistakes. You know, you see him. See him don't quite do the jumps quite as well as he does. And I think that works. You know, I think the fact that he's fallible is good. Running through the wall is brilliant. That says a lot about what Craig's Bond is going to be.
Smash! Yeah.
Exactly.
I wouldn't have had a go at that one.
Yeah.
God, it's only plasterboard, Tom. Go on.
Go on, Daniel. Fly through it, son.
End
Go
up
on.
on the floor, baby. It'll be fun. Oh, God.
And I think that works because that shows... Is the bomb board falling apart again? That's right. I think that shows what Craig's Bond is going to be.
Yeah.
I also like shooting up an embassy. We haven't really seen it since From Russia With Love.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see an embassy blowing up. So like that.
Always.
Then we've got the extensive action scene at Miami Airport.
Yeah.
Which again I think works really well and is in a similar vein. The way he runs up the steps and just sort of flings himself off is quite similar to the parkour scene, really. Yeah. I also like the way that the guy is crashing through vehicles as he's driving the lorry.
Yeah.
He's crashing through vehicles, like that bit in The Naked Gun where the guy's hanging onto the... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One vehicle, then another vehicle.
Yeah.
Then there's a bus, then there's a lorry, then there's a plane, you know. So I like that a lot. And we should also talk about the car roll here. That was done at the Millbrook Proving Grounds in Bedfordshire. The stunt driver who performed the stunt was called Adam Curley. He had some of the stuff these guys do.
Yeah.
He had an air cannon located behind the driver's seat to propel the car into a roll. How do you drive along at 70 miles an hour and think, okay, in a minute a cannon's literally going to fire there and I'm going to roll over many times. It'll probably be okay. It's just crazy. So that propelled the car into a roll. He was doing 113 kilometers an hour. Yeah. So that's 70 and a bit. The car rotated 7 times.
Yeah.
That was confirmed by the Guinness Book of Records as a new world record. And again, he was in that car. That wasn't an empty car that was fired. He was genuinely in that car. And what you see is what happened. So, extraordinary stuff.
Fantastic.
Some fantastic stunts in this movie. Have I missed anything?
Well, I'm going to count deliberately crashing a Range Rover into a Jaguar. It's a stunt.
You've got to love that.
Making all the
I'm
alarms
happy with
go
that.
off.
I think that's brilliant. Yeah, happy with that.
And just a bit more detail on the airport bit. Yeah, there's some great shots. There's that one where he sort of jumps off one of the trucks and another truck's coming. There's like a bird's eye view almost shot of him
Yeah.
nearly getting run over between the. Oh, that's
Yeah, as he sort of
fantastic.
rolls away and-
Yeah.
yeah.
Love that bit.
Yeah.
And there's almost like a Terminator-y type bit where he's running on top of the truck and then he jumps in and then they start having this massive fight in the cab.
In the cab,
Ah,
yeah.
that's great.
That's always
Yeah.
good fun, isn't it?
Yeah, another close proximity fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Very good.
We do like those. Do you
The
know
one
what,
in the-
I know we're not
oh.
doing locations, but do you know
Yeah.
where all that was filmed? The Miami airport, driving vehicles, fighting and all that bit was filmed at Dunsford Aerodrome in Surrey, which is where the Top Gear track is.
Oh.
It was on the same track. There you go.
I like the fight in the hotel staircase with the bloke with the machete.
Yeah,
That was
again,
very good.
confined space.
Yeah.
Well, not down, but on
Yeah.
the same level. as
Yeah.
confined, yeah.
And then the end fight in the collapsing building
Yeah.
in Venice. Just some good stuff all happening there.
I
It's
have
all...
a couple of issues with that, which we will
right.
come to. But anyway, go on.
okay. There's a nail gun to sunglasses lens towards the end as well,
Nice.
which is pretty cool.
Oh, his sunglasses bloke.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of fighting, like you say. It's all practical stuff. Very impressive car totaling.
Yeah.
So yeah,
They got through a few cars.
I've actually got 9 out of 10.
I have said 8 out of 10,
Oh.
but so 2 very high scores. It is still early. We've only done 4 of the 12 categories,
Yeah.
but we are on target for a high score here.
Oh no, you said 8.
As things stand, we are on target for a
Bloody-
very
yeah.
high score. Vehicles.
Yeah.
Right. Before we get to the DB5,
Yeah.
I have to say, before that, Bond drives a Ford Mondeo.
I did put-
And can I just make an observation on this? That was the Mark III Mondeo.
Yeah.
I had one of those.
Oh.
And it was the best Mondeo. It was better than the Mark IV.
okay.
The Mark III was the one to have. And I had a black one, the Titanium X, with all the toys, and it had heated seats and cooling seats, and could do with some of them today. And it was just beautiful. So I've got a bit of a soft spot for that car. I know it's a Mondeo, but I love it.
See, yeah, because
If you put a Jaguar badge on that, you could sell it for 3 times the price.
bollocks. I thought
You could. It's a beautiful
I
car.
thought I'm not into cars, and James is going to be one of those. Oh, I can't believe they got Bond driving a
No,
Ford.
not at all. I think it's
And
a great
he loves
car.
it.
Yeah, I think it's a great car, that
Ah,
Mondeo.
shite that
The
one.
Mark II was crap. The Mark III was
For
brilliant.
Bond, Ford. Come on, he might.
Well,
as
he's
well,
only borrowed it from the airport,
He
hasn't
might
he?
as well be driving my Viva.
Bond is not going to drive a Vauxhall Viva. I'm sorry to tell you that. Nice backstory with the Aston Martin DB5 and how he
Yeah.
acquired it. Nice to
Alright.
see the DB5 again. The main car in this movie, however,
Yeah.
is not a Ford Mondeo, and it's not
Right.
even the DB5.
DBS.
It is the DBS. It's the 2006 DBS.
Yeah.
This was basically a sports version of the DB9. Can I just go on record as saying it is an absolutely beautiful car? I mean, it is. I actually know someone who lives close to me who has one, and I'm trying to convince him to let me drive it, and I keep failing miserably. But it is absolutely just the most gorgeous car. And it is. I think it's a really good decision because, again, if they're rebooting it, Bond is back in an Aston, the most sporty version. If you're going to do a grand tour and drive to Montenegro, that's the car to do it in. I just think it's the perfect car for Bond at that time. Anything else in the way of vehicles?
Yeah. There's the Skyfleet big old plane.
Big old plane.
Big old plane.
Big plane. Big plane.
Big plane. innit?
Big plane, mate. Got us a
plane.
big plane.
And I can't believe you haven't said anything about the
There
bloody
is a
train.
beautiful train. Yeah, no, I'm getting to that.
All right.
Sorry, I was going to talk about the train.
So that- yeah.
So it's very nice to see Bond on a train again and having dinner in the restaurant car. And
I
all
like
kind
that.
of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not the Orient Express, but it's similar. It's a
It was
nice
all right,
run
wasn't it?
down through the Baltics on a train. It's absolutely lovely.
Hmm.
So yes, very nice to see that as well. So, I mean, I'm very happy with the selection of vehicles. I will be honest.
What have you said?
Big 9.
Big bloody 9.
Big bloody
bloody
fat
hell.
9.
I'm only gonna 8, but crikey, these are high.
Crikey O'Reilly, these are high scores.
We've already overtaken. No, I don't know.
Do you know what? If we added it up, your score probably already is more than it was for Dine the Day. Right, villain is
Villain.
next. Le Chief, say freak. Le Chief. Wow. I mean, Mads Mikkelsen, has he
good, isn't he?
ever given a bad performance in anything?
Not what I've seen. No.
I don't think so, no. I think he's absolutely top tier. Le Chiffre in the book is quite different in terms of his physical appearance, but there are some similarities in terms of the way he behaves. The torture scene is almost identical, and it genuinely is quite mad. I think the way they do the torture scene, I think you've got two brilliant actors facing off there. The whole, you're not going to give me the password, are you? And the way he does that with a smile on his face and all that. The fact that it's in a container and it's all hot and sweaty sort of adds to it. I think he is given a lot to work with, and some Bond villains have not. We've talked about that in the past. But my God, he makes the most of it.
He does. Oh, there's a really good line early on in the poker game, the first poker game, and he says about the weeping blood is nearly the result of a knackered tear duct. Nothing sinister.
Nothing sinister. Can I just point out?
Nothing sinister.
I am not a poker player, but I would have thought the whole point is to bluff effectively and not give away your tell.
Yeah.
I would have thought if you start bleeding from the eye when you've got a good hand, that may put you at a slight disadvantage.
Yeah.
I've got 4 aces.
Shit.
So anyway, but that's not Mads Mikkelsen's fault. I think Mads Mikkelsen is brilliant.
Right.
And by the way, he's facing off against some excellent actors, which we will talk about. I have said 9 for the villain. I think he's top drawer villain.
Wait. Oh, are we saying anyone else? Or we got?
Is that not henchman or?
Well, I think.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, no, I'll say for score wise, we'll just go Mr. Mikkelsen, the chief. And I'll
Mr.
say
Mikkelsen.
8.
A 9 and an 8.
I was just wondering about, other characters' statuses and whether they're above the chief hierarchy-wise, but not screen time-wise,
Mr. White?
Mr. White,
Yeah.
Albano.
Mr. White, Jesper Christensen is a really good actor.
Good.
You are going to see him again
Right.
in the Daniel Craig movies.
Uh-huh.
And in every time you see him, he is equally brilliant.
Good.
He is a terrific actor.
Like him, yeah.
A really strong supporting cast of bastards, as I believe you would say.
Yeah.
We have Isaac Dubankola as Obana, the Ugandan freedom fighter. He does look like he's genuinely teetering on the edge of completely losing his shit all the time. Do we count Mathis? Because, of course, he's under suspicion for a time.
Well, I don't know if that gets resolved later, do I? Because at the end of this movie, they're saying...
Probably not, but maybe.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
I think Giancarlo Giannini is a terrific actor,
He's
I have
very
to
good.
say. He's got a real sort of presence about him. There's something... You want to watch him,
Yeah.
I think he's really, really good. I'm
do
delighted
well.
to say he comes back in the
They
next movie.
do well, don't they, with those kind of
Yeah.
slightly older gents.
Yeah.
We've had a few of those. And they're normally
And also,
well cast.
he's not an obvious choice. He would have been, 50-something at that point. Italian actor, primarily in European cinema, not really known in Britain at all, hasn't done many English language movies. So in the casting, does someone think, hey, I know this Italian actor who would fit that French part? How do they get to that point? I don't know. But when you look, they all really look the part. Sebastian Fucana's Molaka, the free runner bloke, the parkour bloke.
Well, that's...
That kind of casts itself because he has to be the parkour
he's just
guy.
fantastic.
But he looks
impressive
great
to
doing it.
look at, and it's a great way to open the movie after the song.
Indeed, and he looks the part. Also, who looks the part? Claudio Santamaria, great name, as Carlos, the would-be airport bomber.
Oh,
who again, if he was like a big, scary, it sort of wouldn't look right.
Yeah.
He sort of has to look normal, but a bit threatening and a bit. And I think again, where did they find him? This is not a guy who's well known in that part of the world, and he really, really looks the part.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really great selection of of supporting actors.
Yeah, and I suppose they are all on the baddie side, mostly the ones we mentioned there. Yeah, the actual henchman, I call him Baldy Blue Eyes. Do you even remember him? He's like...
No, I think he's a bit of a nobody part, really, isn't he?
He's there as a kind of...
Yeah.
Could have been something, I don't know if he speaks, can't remember.
I don't think he does, very, very little.
Yeah.
We should probably quickly talk on Demetrios as well.
Yeah.
Simon Abkarian. I hope I pronounced that correctly. As Demetrios.
Bet you have.
Probably not. And again, there's something about him where he really does look like he could tip over into furious rage any minute.
Yeah, well...
When he sat there having lost his car...
I know.
He does look like if I had a gun, mate. Do you know what I mean?
And then Bond's like, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get it on with your wife.
Yeah.
Like, half an hour.
Can I just say, this is really for gags, but just quickly.
Yeah.
I love the way Bond completely shithouses him with, the valet ticket.
I
just think that's a great line.
Yeah, great.
So, and you can see the way he reacts to that, like, I really want to kill you now.
Yeah.
So I think the supporting cast is terrific. If we are counting all of the supporting cast as henchmen or baddies who are in support of the main villain in story terms.
Okay.
Is that what we're doing?
Let's do that.
Okay, I'm going to say 9 because I think they're terrific. I'm scoring very highly here.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to go down a bit.
That pen is going to die any second.
I'll get a new one.
Sorry.
I've only gone 7, right? And I liked everyone, but yeah, I was a bit... While this isn't really the movie that wants Jules or Odd Job or whatever, it'd be very out of place tonally.
Yeah, it would be,
Maybe a
more memorable?
Yeah, some kind of standout feature.
I take your point.
I've only got 7.
Let's talk about the location.
Well,
we go from Prague to Uganda to Madagascar to London to the Bahamas to Miami, back to the Bahamas to Montenegro to Lake Como to Venice and back to Lake Como. Right? I mean, that's a good trip, isn't it? You know, that's I really like it. I think Bond should be crisscrossing the world and doing all that. I think it's part of what makes a Bond film a Bond film.
Yeah, just very glamorous, sunny stuff at the start, and then you've got great use of the places they're in, and then we've got the sets. The casino's fantastic. You know, we were spending a long time in there.
Yeah, so it's got to look good.
I was thinking it's got to be pretty difficult to make poker cinematically interesting. Really,
yes.
They do. I mean, they break the game up a bit, and there's bits that happen in between, but the actual playing and that's done really well. It looks cool. Looks high swanky class time stuff.
Marveloso Splendido Hotello. Would you like to know where some of those places were? Because they didn't go to Madagascar, they didn't go to Uganda, right? So a lot of this movie was shot in Prague.
Ah, okay.
And most of the interiors were shot at Barandov Studios in Prague. Some were done at Pinewood. The interior of the Salon de Jeu, the sort of posh room where they play the main card game, was actually an interior at Pinewood Studios. The interior for the hotel in Venice, when you see Bond with Vesper walking through the reception before he realises that she's betrayed him, that is actually the National Museum in Prague. It's at the top of Wenceslas Square. And you can just walk in. I know this because I was there a couple of years ago. You can just walk in and have a look at and have your photo taken and do all that stuff, which I did. Also in the Czech Republic, they didn't go to Montenegro. The hotel for Casino Royale, the exterior shots of the hotel for Casino Royale, is the Grand Hotel Pup. Nice name. In Karlovy Vary in the Czech Republic. The pretty town where Bond and Vesper first meet Mathis, very pretty little square and all that, is Loket, which is in the same region of the Czech Republic. So lots of it was filmed in the Czech Republic, or Czechia, as I believe they're calling it now. Paradise Island in the Bahamas, they did go to. As we know from previous movies, they need no excuse to go to the Bahamas to film something. They go there a lot. So they did go back to Paradise Island. The chase in Madagascar on the building site was also in the Bahamas. Demetrios's beachfront house, which was in the Bahamas, right on the beach, was owned by Tiger Woods in real life. That's quite nice, isn't it? But dread to think what happened inside mine. But anyway, the main Italian location, as we know, was Venice, but there were also 2 villas on the shore of Lake Como. One for Bond's clinic, where he recovers after having his knackered, and Mr. White's villa for the final scene right at the very end. Those are 2 villas on the shores of Lake Como. However, there were some British locations as well. We talked about Dunsford Aerodrome for Miami Airport. The scene supposedly shot in Uganda in the heavy rain. Black Park Country Estate in Buckinghamshire. So yeah, not Uganda. Definitely not Uganda. What are we saying for locations?
Fantastic, maximised use of it all.
Yeah,
I'd
absolutely.
say got the best use out of everything. I'm
Yeah.
going 9 out of 10.
Okay, I also will join you in a cheeky 9.
Oh,
Oh, there goes her crown again.
that bloody
Leave
hell,
it. She's not complaining.
Bloody hell scratches.
Come on, Scratches, sort it out, son.
Right.
Next is the story. Now,
Right.
as we've talked about, this is very close to Fleming's novel. Some of the locations are different, and there are some extra bits added in. But the core of it, Bond and the Chiffre are playing cards, and the money being used for nefarious purposes, and all that stuff. Now, I really like, as you know, going back to Fleming's stories. However, I'm going to sound a note of slight negativity here.
Ooh.
If you read the original novel, that is, without giving too much away, there's an abrupt ending to the novel. All right? So the line, "the bitch is dead," that Bond says, comes from the novel.
Right.
But it's quite an abrupt ending. I won't go into the reasons why in case you want to read it. So maybe it's my impression having read the novel, but the Madagascar stuff is all added at the
Yeah.
start, and the Venice stuff is tacked on at the end.
Okay.
Nothing that happens in Venice is in the novel. That's all added for the movie. So having read the novel, it feels slightly unnaturally long.
Yes.
Because once she dies, you think, oh, okay, that should be the end of it. And then we've
Okay.
got all this Venice stuff
Yeah.
added on to the end. That extra 20 minutes
yeah.
just felt a bit glued on.
A little.
Yeah. So there is a bit, without going into details, there's a bit where Vesper betrays him and the novel then finishes
Yeah.
at Casino Royale. Now, I get it, that doesn't work. You need a big cinematic experience
Yeah.
and you need a big closing sequence to end the movie. That's why Paul Haggis was brought in to write the Venice stuff at the end in the house that's collapsing and all the rest of it. It just felt a little bit artificial to me, having been familiar with the novel.
Okay.
I may be being a little overcritical there, but that was my impression. The other thing I would say is it a little too long? It was the longest Bond film up to this point. Is there a little too much card playing? Or am I being a bit overcritical there?
No, I don't. It is long, and maybe it just needs a bit of trimming somewhere. But I think, like the stuff where there's no story development is all the big action bits that we've
That's very
talked
true.
up.
That's very true.
The parkour bit goes on for ages. You could cut that down by.
But then you'd be missing out,
but
'cause
you'd
it
be
doesn't
missing
feel
out
too
on
long, does it?
Yeah, because
No.
it's just great
No.
shot after great
Yeah,
shot. It's
yeah,
really
absolutely.
exciting.
Absolutely.
Same with the airport bit. It goes on for ages.
But it works. It doesn't feel like a long time. It doesn't feel overly long.
This is what clocks up the runtime because
Yeah.
the game has to have those bits in between.
Yeah.
With Urbano coming in.
Yeah.
Threatening to chop the girl's arm off.
Yeah.
Machete fight, all that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Then the poisoning. Oh, Bond has to lose. Get in with
Yes.
Felix. So there's all.
There is a lot
The
to cover.
poker, even though, like I say, it's difficult to make that cinematically interesting. I was engrossed in all of that.
So you were happy with that? Yeah, okay.
And then I think it just felt, it just felt like maybe that's gone for so long. Like the finale feels like you say, kind of bolted on.
A little bit bolted on. Yeah.
But it still needs to happen to end the story effectively. So,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. I'm quite happy with it.
Quite happy
really.
with it. It doesn't...
With acknowledging that yes, it's a bloody long film for a Bond film.
Yeah, but I mean, I think most of the long scenes are good enough to carry the length that they
Yeah.
are. Like you say, the Miami airport scene is very long.
Yeah.
But it's not like you're sat there going, come on. It is really edge of the seat stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
It's brilliant. You
Yeah.
know. So, and we should probably talk about the torture scene here as well.
Okay.
That comes directly from the book. I mean, it's a carpet beater in the book rather than a big heavy rope, but the principle is the same. Strapped to a chair, bottom cut out,
Yeah.
clang, clang, clang on the old
Like our chairs now.
on the old meat and two veg. That's the same thing that happens. A very tough scene.
Yeah.
A very controversial scene, as it. No, to the left, to the left.
Whoop-ah!
I'm not sure how much damage could you really do with that. To be fair, with me, you've got a tiny target to aim at anyway.
Yeah.
So you need something a lot bigger. Yeah. That's. I do like the way that Mads Mikkelsen kind of flings it around a couple of times to build up some momentum.
Have a crack if you want.
Well, okay, yeah. No, hold on. Hold on. Purely for the interest of science.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Honestly, we're putting our bodies on the line for this podcast. YouTube channel thing. So look, the torture scene is really tough, right?
Yeah.
It was tough in the book. It was controversial for 1953. It was really quite sort of obscene at the time. The original scenes were longer, but they were cut so that it could get the 12A rating.
Yeah.
Subsequently, it has been released with the full version and a 15 rating on DVD.
And that's what I've seen.
And that's why we had the confusion the other day.
Yeah, because I was like,
whether it was
15,
a 12 or a 15.
Yeah.
It was a 12A in the cinema,
12,
but there is
yeah.
a 15 version you can find on DVD. And that's
Yeah.
really because of what it is. And it's a horrible scene. Right? You're sat there with your legs crossed like, oh.
Yeah.
So anyway, look, there's lots of things on the story there. What are you saying for the story?
Well, I just want to point out, I noticed the continuity error.
Oh, please.
which is
We
gonna
love a
make
continuity
I
error.
think I've been bloody clever here.
Was it Richard Branson turning the wrong way in his very subtle cameo?
No, it wasn't, right? What happens, right, is the ellipsis message.
Yes.
And he
on the
works,
Sony Ericsson phone.
Yeah, and he works out who sent it by looking at the CD-ROM surveillance
It's
footage.
2006.
And he gets the time synced up, doesn't he?
Yes, he
with
does.
What the time on the phone.
Yes.
And I thought, isn't there a massive time difference between Madagascar and the Bahamas? Yes, there is. Madagascar is 7 hours ahead of the Bahamas, so it should have been someone at 12:12 rather than
7:12
So he
PM.
could have been that Demetrios. He could have been just some bloke sending a text, and he's there stealing his car.
Right, that's it. 0 for the story.
0. I've ruined it, haven't I?
That's it. You've ruined it. There's no way that Casino Royale can
But I
finish
thought,
top of the
hang
charts.
on, I've been clever here.
No, you are being clever.
Yeah. There we go.
I mean, you're spoiling it, but
Ruined
you're
it,
being
haven't I?
clever.
Ruined the movie.
You've just ruined the whole movie. There's no point to
There
it
you go.
now.
So when you watch it,
Eva
think,
Green's beauty.
Yeah.
I just can't see
Doesn't
it
matter.
anymore.
Well,
no.
I'll tell you something else, which is a thing of beauty in this. And if you would allow me,
Oh, please.
I would like for just a brief moment.
Are we going to get some bonus music?
I would like to just bring back for one episode. We haven't done it for a while. Let's have a look at.
Threads Watch.
It's
Nice.
Threads Watch indeed, and obviously Daniel Craig. He's looking fantastic in this.
Does
We're not
look
going to be.
the bomb. in
We
this.
don't need to compliment him.
No.
I gotta give a little word to the poker dealer in one of the swankiest high-time hotels, casinos, of all time. They look a bit Dave and Buster's. Like, I don't know if they had poker at Dave and Buster's, but
I don't know.
he's
Did
like
they?
got
Maybe
all
they
these
did.
cards all over his
His braces as well.
Poor bloke.
Lovely.
Why
Lovely
wouldn't he
touch.
get a nice waistcoat?
You would have thought, like, we know you're the dealer, mate. You
Yeah.
don't have to have, like,
All the cards.
or one of them little visors on.
Yeah. Like the croupier.
A sign that says dealer.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It does look a little bit incongruous. And actually, everybody's dressed beautifully in that scene.
Yeah,
Bond and
except-
Felix and everybody is. All the women are dressed beautifully. And he's got. Yeah, you're right. That does look a bit.
yeah, there
By
we
the
go.
way, he was a real dealer.
Oh, okay.
Because
Maybe-
you can tell from the way he handles the
so
car.
maybe that was his own
He
work
wasn't an actor.
clothes
Maybe they
were
just
not-
said wear whatever you would
Where
normally wear,
what
mate.
you had at work, and he's
I-
like, well,
I
I
love
only
the
work
way-
at Dave Buster's.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I work at the Grosvenor Casino on the docks. I love the way as well. Bond slides him a €500,000 chip as a tip, and he just goes, "Thank you."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, cool, whatever. That's just another evening for me.
So yeah.
So,
poor bloke.
no, excellent. Nice,
Okay.
nice to see Threads Watch again.
We'll have it. We'll have
Yeah,
it
go
again.
on.
Here we go.
Very nice. Right, all of that was a long-winded way of saying the story.
Yeah.
What are you scoring for the story?
Apart from my continuity, I leave
You've got
that.
to take one off for the continuity.
Leave the Dave and Buster's waistcoat.
Yeah.
I was just I was just
Loved it.
loved it, enthralled
Good.
throughout, especially in the poker. 9 out of 10.
Okay, I have said 8 because I'm going to take one off for the Venice bit, which always feels tactile to
Okay.
me, having read the novel.
Right.
I do think it is a touch too long, if I'm being ultra critical.
Yeah.
I think 210 is where a Bond film should be.
Okay.
But
yeah.
that's just me.
Yeah.
That leaves us with 3 categories, babe.
Oh God.
What are the last 3 categories? They're not threads, watch. They're something
Now I
different.
better find
He's
the right
fighting
shit,
about
I'm
his
doing.
fade, mate, so that's okay. I could just fill.
That's okay.
The last 3 categories are...
Gadgets, gags, and girls.
It's best that we freestyle during that. You don't want to, our natural choreography and rhythm needs to come out, doesn't it? Gadgets, gags, and girls. Let's do gadgets, shall we?
Right.
Now, this is a relatively gadget-light movie. I think we may lose a few points here because obviously having come from a gadget-heavy world in the Brosnan era, because they're rebooting it and keeping it simple, there's fewer gadgets.
Yeah.
There are a few. The injection in the arm...
Yeah.
with the microchip, so M can track where Bond is.
Yeah.
Love the way Craig goes, ow, in a kind of angry way towards the guy that does it. By the way, you will see the injection in the arm again.
Okay.
That's all I will say.
Yeah.
The mobile phone
Yeah.
was very high-tech for the time.
Yeah.
It was the Sony Ericsson K800. GPS on a phone was not really a thing then.
Yeah.
So that was quite high tech as he's driving his Mondeo and going on the phone to get his GPS.
Right.
So that, I mean, it is nearly 20 years ago. So
Yeah.
that was quite high tech at the time. I love the drawer in the car with the
Good.
various gadgets in.
Yeah.
Love that.
I mean, it's mainly a heart resuscitator.
The defibrillator.
Yeah.
That saves Bond's life. I like the way it's in a nice little drawer with its own
Nice
little
little
compartment.
storage.
like,
Yeah.
like one of those things you buy at IKEA to sort of
Yeah.
slot your belt and your tie and your
Yeah.
So like that very much. Would we include the exploding keychain as a gadget?
Yeah,
I suppose we
have.
would, wouldn't we?
I've written it down, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna say key
I think
ring
so.
bomb.
Key
yeah.
ring bomb thing, knackerer thing.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, just like you say about the phone, his computer setup's pretty good.
Yeah.
The locating where the text came from and all that.
And being able to hack into M's personal
Yeah,
stuff, that's
that
quite
looks
high
good
tech.
still
Yeah.
on the screen. And
Yeah,
that's,
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's pretty old, so it's showing that it wasn't. So stuff like even stuff in GoldenEye where they're going to emails and like it's all
Oh, it's a
we weren't
thing. Oh,
far
well,
away
oh.
from identifying what
Yeah.
what is just normal computers and what I don't know. That's
What
quite
we
good.
expect now.
Yeah.
So
And-
quite high tech for the time.
And
Thanks to the laptop from Sony Ericsson.
yeah. And I've got to say the knackerer.
I suppose that is a
It's a gadget of it's a torture device.
It's just a great big rope.
It's a rope with a bit of
It's simple,
plasticine on
but
the
it's a
end or
gadget.
whatever. But yeah.
I think, is it just like a heavy knot thing?
Yeah,
I think that's what it
okay.
is, isn't it? Heavy
Right.
rope with a big knot.
Big old knot.
So we're a bit light on gadgets, if we're
Light,
being
yeah,
honest, in
yeah.
this movie. What have you said for gadgets?
Well, because they're very few, but very the featured one is the defibrillator. That's very good.
Yes.
The car. I think the use of them and including the knackerer, I've gone 7 out of 10.
Okay, I've
We're
gone
gonna-
6 because I think we're a little light on gadgets. Although I do like the way when he presses the drawer in the DBS and it kind of it doesn't just slide out. There's like a hydraulic as it comes out. That's nice. Nice touch.
Nice action.
Nice action. That is a quality action.
Yeah.
Gags. 2
I've-
categories to go.
Yeah.
Gags is the first. Again, not a gag-heavy movie compared to, say, Moonraker, where they're every 2 minutes, or indeed Die Another Day, where basically they were just one after another. But not many gags, but those that there are good quality.
Yes.
We've talked about Considerably, good
yeah.
gag.
Yeah.
The German guys parking the car,
Yeah.
good gag.
Good.
And also, I love the way he just tosses the keys away as he walks away. That's a nice little touch.
Sorry,
Like
you
that gag.
skipped ahead. I'll just go
Sorry,
back
I missed one, didn't I?
go a little. Well, it's not a gag. It's something that made me laugh. Maybe we should have talked about this in supporting actors. Completely missed him because he's rubbish. Agent Carter.
Yeah, he's rubbish.
Right, so he gives himself
Sorry,
away.
I can't hear you, Tom. What are you saying?
So he gives himself
Sorry,
away.
Tom, I can't hear you. I'm undercover here, pretending to be a secret agent, but I can't hear you.
Well, why don't you fall over and accidentally fire off your gun into a crowd of people?
How could
and
this
then
get any
never
worse?
Be
Oh, he's
seen
just done
again
it. Yeah,
in the
exactly.
movie.
Did he die? Did he live?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
So the German guy's parking the car, good gag. The valet ticket, great shit housing, really good gag, like that.
Yes.
In the whole little bit of scene in the car with Solange driving round the edge of the Ocean Club,
Bit daft.
nice little gag,
Yeah.
bit daft, but you can see, it gets her laughing and gets her into bed.
Yeah.
The byplay, as Bernard Lee would call it,
Yeah.
with Vesper on the train.
That's really
Is
good,
very
that
good.
scene, yeah.
And in the car on the way to the hotel, where they have a little bit of Stephanie Broadchest.
That's the best bit, Stephanie Broadchest.
Yeah. It's quite good. There's a nice little bit of humour around the dinner jacket.
Yeah.
And I sized you up when we met and him trying on the jacket and all that. I really like the bit at the table in the middle of this high stakes game where he orders the drink and everyone thinks, that sounds nice, I'll have one of them. And Felix is introduced there as well. That's really the first time we've seen Felix. I really like that little gag. I think that works very well.
I think I'll have a pint of bitter. So everyone like, I'll have one. I'll have one too.
The little I wouldn't dream of it, and that last hand nearly killed me after he's been poisoned.
That's good.
And also, you know what I can do with my little finger. It's quite a good line.
Yeah.
So there's not loads of gags, but those that are good gags. And there aren't many that are kind of cringy gags. Because we have had a few during recent movies where we're like, because they are quite cringy.
There's even
nothing
a
cringy,
bit
I don't
later
think.
on where she's like, I was out of line. He's like, I thought it was quite good. I can't remember.
Almost sort of taking the mickey out of himself.
Yeah, and she's like, oh no, I was laughing
a good
at
line.
you or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, that's okay then. And
Yeah.
a bit self-deprecating.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. M's quite funny in this and just how pissed off she is a lot of the time. Christ, I missed the Cold War.
Yeah, that's a good line.
Yeah.
Christ, I missed the Cold War. And I talked about utter another syllable and I'll have you killed.
Yeah.
That's a terrific line. But I do like the way she is quite brutal with him. She goes, Bond, here's this woman who's dead because of you. Come over here and let's have a chat. Let's go back to the woman who's dead because of you.
Yeah.
It's like, she's pretty tough with him, isn't she?
And just to keep a bit of humour in the torture scene, my mate Phil, we watched this together and he loves I've got a little itch down there,
itch,
would you mind, to the right, all that.
Yeah.
And Phil reckons is one of his favourite lines in the whole of Bond is, now the world will know that you died scratching my balls. And he sees it as Bond kind of, showing vulnerability and
even in the face of death, he's keeping his his armor up. He's keeping his guard up. So what are you saying for gags?
I've gone 8. I did find because it did make me laugh. I was laughing with the bits that you're meant to laugh at, I suppose. And I thought, there was enough humour, to keep the levity up a bit, because it's quite a dark movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I thought the balance of it. So I'm more scoring it for getting that level right. So yeah.
Okay, I have said 7. I could have done with a couple more gags, but I think what we've got is very strong.
Yeah.
They're good gags. And actually, Daniel Craig is surprisingly good at the comedy stuff.
Yeah.
You'll see this in subsequent movies. Okay. For a guy who is, an actor and takes his acting very seriously and beefs up and is the tough guy and all the rest of it, he is pretty good at the comedy, I have to say. Which only leaves us with girls as the final category. Well, of course, the main Bond girl in this is Eva Green. Very, very beautiful. Very good at being angry with Bond. I think the scenes where she's angry with Bond, you really believe it. Vesper is a really resourceful and intelligent woman. She's able to think on her feet. She literally saves Bond's life with the defibrillator in the car. I think we've talked about the two scenes where she's having dinner with Bond, I think, are particularly good. And Vesper is a very complex leading lady. She can't have been easy to play.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of different emotions that are in that. And obviously there's this whole kind of subplot that she's ultimately betraying him and all that stuff going on. So it's not an easy... some of the Bond girls in the past have been sort of turn up, say the lines look beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And this isn't like that at all. This is really quite a complex part and a difficult part to play, I would have thought. Anything to add on Eva Green? Keep it clean.
Not really. Yeah, just because I'd be repeating what you said, I suppose. A little bit confused about just is it a plot hole with? Couldn't she have just told the chief that she was a double agent, rather than him torture her and Bond? Or am I being stupid?
Anyway, moving on. Katerina, I suppose she could have done, actually. I hadn't thought of that. Anyway, okay, moving on. Katerina.
What am I thinking?
No.
I don't normally do this, but I was kind of... Why did she...
No, thanks, Tom, for ruining that for me.
Yeah.
That's fine. Katerina Marino as Solange.
Yes.
She has got sacrificial lamb written all over her, right?
Unfortunately.
And you know how a lot of the Bond movies have had a girl who dies quite early and then another girl who's the kind of main Bond girl, for want of a better phrase. She is, from the start, you think, well, she's going to die, right? Because she gets involved with Bond. Even her dialogue, when she's talking about, I had so many chances to be happy and all that kind of stuff, you're just thinking, this woman is going to die. Yeah, exactly. It's like plot device in big letters on the screen.
Yeah.
But again, I think she does well with what she's
good
given.
in a couple of scenes,
Yeah. Ivana Milicevic as Valenka, a Croatian actress who's been based in the US for a very, very long time. That is Le Chief, Chief's girlfriend.
That's the only one I was going to say. They could have made a
blonde
bit of
girl with,
They could have made a character out of her.
Yes.
That's the only one that sort of... She's got to be there for...
Yes, they could have done a bit more
the
with
poisoning, but... Yeah.
So, Ivana Milicevic, Croatian actress based in the US, she's had a good career in US TV since this movie, actually. She's got all kinds of credits in all kinds of... so she's popped up in all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Does suggest, as you say, rather underused in this particular movie. So could have done a little bit more with it. But again, I guess you've got 2 hours and 24 minutes, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Can you pack even more into that to develop the character and maybe not,
No.
So I suppose that's what is behind it. Anything else to say in this
No,
final
they're
category?
the three main ones. Yeah. Well, Vesper being the main one.
Yes.
By a mile. And being fantastic.
And Vesper's impact will be felt throughout Daniel Craig's tenure.
Okay.
I will say nothing more than that. But it needed a very strong actress to make that believable and to have it go on for the next 15 years or whatever while Craig is playing this part.
Okay.
And I think we have that in Eva Green.
Yeah.
So, what are you saying?
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. I also have said 8 out of 10.
Okay,
it's 8 out of 10. Well, I'm seeing a lot of 8s, 9s, and even
Bloody
a 10
high, innit, mate?
on that list there. So I
could
think
have.
we have a very high score here, which means we're going to need more time than usual to do some maths. So we're going to take a little break there because big numbers confuse us. So we're going to take a little break there and we will add up what could be one of the leading scores on this entire overly long series. We shall find out in just a moment.
Yeah.
Welcome back. We have a score, and ooh is all I'm going to say. Now, I've inputted your data. Ooh, and Tom has scored Casino Royale
98.
out of 120.
Yeah.
And I have scored Casino Royale
100.
100 out of 120, which gives us a grand total of 198. And wouldn't you flipping well know it, it is joint top with The Spy Who Loved Me with 198 points. We cannot separate them. Now, bear in mind, there are only 4 movies to go.
Yeah.
So we could end up in a situation where the overall winner is a tie.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to need Phil then. And let's be honest, I say 4 movies to go. One of them's No Time to Die, and that ain't going to win. So, effectively 3.
I'd have to score it like double what I
You'd have to score everything 15 out of 10.
Yeah.
So we could end up with an overall joint winner, in which case, what do we do then? Do we have a tie break?
Yeah.
Do we put it to a public vote? Do we get Phil to do one of his spreadsheets with all the... Let's do a count back.
We'll have to get Phil in for some consultation.
Anyway, look.
Shit.
After months of doing this, we have a new leader, a new joint leader, a co-leader. Isn't it exciting?
Bloody hell.
Will anything break through the 200 barrier? The magic 200 barrier. They said it couldn't be done. The mystical 200 barrier. Well,
we better...
there's only 4 movies to go. Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, No Time to Die.
Yeah.
And then we will come to the end of this run of 25 episodes. But don't worry, we have plans to do other things.
We do.
It's all terribly exciting. So on that earth-shattering news that we have a new joint leader, what do you think? Get in touch with us, because we want to know for what we hope will be a long and interesting feedback corner next time. So just a quick reminder, you can leave a comment under this video. Tell us what you think. Do you agree with us? Do you think it's too long? What do you think? Tell us.
Yeah.
Or you can contact us on that there Twitter, which is on screen now. Or that there Blue Sky, which is on screen now. Or that there Instagram, which is on screen now. It's easy when you do it like that, isn't it? Don't you?
But it's up there. You're pointing down
yeah,
there.
it's up sort of all over there. It's on the screen somewhere. So there we are. We will be back in the Junus, of course, to talk about the next Bond movie, which is, of course, Quantum of Solace. Question of Sport, as it was called in some sectors when it came out. There we are. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please let us know what you think about Casino Royale. It was terribly exciting, and thank you for bearing with us as we get through this heat wave. We really appreciate it. It's very warm in here.
So we won't be doing this
No.
but we'll freeze for out 2 seconds here. Cheers, James. That's enough of that.
Quick, get in front of the fan. Open the door.
Turn it up to max. Let's go.
Oh my God, it's boiling.